When people first heard about Georgie and Mandy's first marriage, there was a fair question hanging in the air. Is this just another spin-off squeezing drama out of familiar characters? After all, we already knew from Young Sheldon that Georgie's first marriage doesn't last forever. So, what's the point? Are we just watching a slow-motion breakup? But the deeper you get into Georgie and Mandy's story, the clearer it becomes. This marriage is about more than plot mechanics or franchise continuity. It's not just TV drama. It's a grounded exploration of two imperfect people trying to build something stable under unstable circumstances. What makes their marriage stand out is that it doesn't feel exaggerated. There's no over-the-top villain arc. No outrageous betrayal designed purely to shock viewers. Instead, the tension comes from everyday pressures: money, pride, maturity gaps, parenting stress, and the quiet fear of not being enough. That's what elevates it beyond simple television conflict. Georgie, for starters, isn't written as a sitcom stereotype. He's not the clueless husband whose mistakes exist solely for punchlines. He's ambitious. He wants to prove himself. Growing up in Sheldon's shadow shaped him more than he lets on, and that insecurity seeps into his marriage in subtle ways. He doesn't just want to provide financially, he wants to feel respected. When that respect feels threatened, even unintentionally, his reactions come from wounded pride rather than malice. Mandy, on the other hand, isn't the nagging spouse trope. She's practical, sometimes blunt, and deeply aware of what stability actually requires. She entered this marriage after her life took an unexpected turn. That kind of shift forces someone to grow up fast. So when she questions Georgie's choices, it's not about control. It's about survival. She's thinking long-term. She's thinking about security. And that difference in perspective, optimism versus caution, creates friction that feels authentic. Many real-life couples experience exactly that dynamic. One partner sees opportunity, the other sees risk. One pushes forward, the other pulls back. Neither is inherently wrong, but without clear communication, those differences turn into arguments. What makes this marriage more than just drama is how the show handles those arguments. They're not neatly wrapped up with a quick apology and a laugh track reset. Sometimes conversations linger awkwardly. Sometimes misunderstandings stretch across episodes. That emotional continuity makes the relationship feel lived in rather than episodic. It also helps that the tone is more grounded compared to The Big Bang Theory. That series thrived on heightened personalities and fast-paced jokes. Georgie and Mandy's story slows things down. It allows uncomfortable pauses. It lets silence do some of the storytelling. That tonal shift gives weight to their marriage. Another key element is timing. Their relationship didn't start in a carefree stage of life. It accelerated under pressure. Responsibility arrived before full emotional readiness. That's not a fantasy scenario, it's a reality many people face. When major life events happen before you feel fully prepared, growth becomes messy. Georgie is still figuring out who he is. Mandy is adjusting to a completely new path. Their marriage becomes the space where those growing pains collide. And yet, there's still warmth. That's important. If their relationship were only tension, it would feel bleak. But there are moments of genuine connection, shared humor, quiet support, flashes of teamwork. Those glimpses remind us why they chose each other in the first place. That balance between affection and conflict mirrors real relationships more closely than constant bliss or nonstop chaos. Financial strain is another reason this marriage feels substantial. Money problems are one of the most common stressors in real marriages. Georgie's entrepreneurial risks and Mandy's need for consistency create ongoing tension. The stakes feel tangible because they are tangible. Bills have to be paid. Plans have to be made. Love doesn't cancel out logistics. Perhaps the most compelling aspect, though, is that there isn't a clear villain. The show resists simplifying their struggles into right versus wrong narratives. Sometimes Georgie's frustration makes sense. Sometimes Mandy's caution is justified. Often, they're both partially right and partially wrong. That gray area feels human. It's easy to label TV relationships as dramatic because they're scripted. But what makes Georgie and Mandy's marriage resonate is how much of it feels unscripted. like conversations we've overheard in real life. The defensiveness, the exhaustion, the desire to be understood without always knowing how to articulate what you need. Their story also quietly explores identity. Georgie wants to step out of the Cooper family shadow and define himself on his own terms. Mandy wants to feel secure in a future that wasn't originally part of her plan. Their marriage becomes a testing ground for those identities. And that's deeper than surface-level drama. It's about self-worth and adaptation. Even knowing that this is Georgie's first marriage adds a bittersweet layer. It doesn't turn every scene into doom, but it does create an undercurrent of fragility. You watch them try, knowing effort doesn't always guarantee permanence. That tension isn't flashy, it's reflective. In the end, Georgie and Mandy's marriage works because it feels recognizable. It's not built on grand speeches or extreme twists. It's built on small moments, some tender, some tense. It shows how love can coexist with doubt, how commitment can coexist with confusion, how two people can genuinely care and still struggle. That's more than just TV drama. That's a portrait of young adulthood colliding with responsibility. It's a reminder that marriage isn't a finish line. It's an ongoing negotiation between who you are and who you're becoming. And maybe that's why their story lingers. Not because it's explosive, not because it's shocking, but because it feels possible.